and welcome everyone to our first book review for the year 2024. We bless the Almighty for making it possible that we are here right now. We are glad that you could join in today, and of course, promptly also. For those embarking on this book reading journey, especially those joining for the first time, I'd like to briefly introduce the book club. So it's called the TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club, and it is an initiative of Trinity House. I don't know if we all are familiar with Trinity House, but Trinity House is a non-denominational, free-flow worship center powered with a vision to changing lives, fulfilling destinies, and transforming nations. Our senior pastor is the ever so bubbly, inspirational, charismatic, and God-fearing gentleman, Pastor Itwa Olajide Igodalo. So the Tri-Metropolitan Book Club started about 2.5 years ago on a monthly basis where we review motivational, leadership, Christian, lifestyle, health, and other categories of books. So although this is a book club, which is an initiative of Trinity House, it is a book club in general. And so everybody can join at home, abroad, everywhere in the world. So without much further ado, I'd like to welcome all of us once again to this wonderful book reading journey. And I'll just quickly check through to see if Pastor Itwa is here to give a brief introduction, or he will join in a couple of minutes. Pastor Itwa will log in shortly, but we all know him. He's a senior pastor of Trinity House. So as soon as he comes, I will let us know, and he would speak for a few minutes. So without much further ado, and so that I don't take too much of our time, I'd like to give a brief introduction of our guest for today. But you will give me a few minutes to quickly call up my presentation, as it were, introduction of Miss Bisi Adeyemi. Hang on a second, please. Thank you. Just give me a minute. Apologies. Thank you. Okay. What's going on? Hold on, please. Apologies. I have to re-download it, so please hold on. Please, I beg your pardon. Thank you. I don't know what's going on. Technology.
It started in the
Yeah. Well, technology has failed me briefly, saying updating Microsoft. I wonder why, which I had already downloaded, but just give me a few more seconds. Thank you. Yeah, it's coming up now. Thank you. Okay, I guess I'll just have to read from my phone as it's not coming up on my laptop.
Here, once again, they're so open. And Sasha is his second goal. I mean, it's just, who's going to score? Go to Sasha.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just read from my phone. I wanted to display it, but unfortunately, my laptop seems to be updating itself. Okay, so our guest for today is Miss Bisi Adeyemi. She is the Managing Director, CEO of DCSL Corporate Services Limited. She is a 1986 law graduate of the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria and was called to the Nigerian bar in 1987. She holds an MBA from the Lagos Business School, Pan Atlantic University. She joined DCSL with a charge to turn around the fortunes of the company and to create a distinct brand identity from its then parent firm, Deloitte. DCSL, under her leadership, has recorded significant success in this regard, with an impressive client portfolio and emergence as a market leader in the corporate services and governance space. Prior to joining DCSL, Ms. Adeyemi was the Chief Legal Officer and Company Secretary with a downstream oil and gas company. Before then, she was the General Counsel with a multinational dredging company. She is a member of the International Bar Association, a fellow of the Institute of Directors, and served as the 17th president at the Nigerian British Chamber of Commerce. Ms. Bisi Adeyemi has attended leadership training at the Harvard Business School, the Wharton School, the University of Pennsylvania, and the Kellogg School of Management, Northwestern University, Illinois. Ms. Bisi is the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Women in Management, Business and Public Service, WIMBIS, the first non-founder chair to be so appointed. She is a non-executive director on the boards of Center for Women's Health and Information and Eventful Limited. Ms. Adeyemi is passionate about corporate governance and she facilitates board-level training on the subject. She is a resource person at the Institute of Directors and the DCSL Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, even as I ask her to put on her video and unmute her mic, please welcome with me to the platform, to the floor this evening, Ms. Bisi Adeyemi. Thank you very much, Ma. I'm really honored to have you here. I know I've stressed you a lot, but as my big Egbon, I'm sure you don't see it as a lot of stress. So I welcome you to this platform, to the TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club, and I thank you for honoring Pastor Ito Igodalo and myself. God bless you, Ma. The floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, and it's a great thing to be here. Good evening, everyone. Indeed, Dr. Tony has stressed me, but but it's good stress. I mean, it's for a good cause. So I'm happy to be doing this. So I have a few slides, and I'll just share my screen now. It's a very interesting book that has been chosen this month, and I hope that you find it as interesting as I did. Just a second, let me share my slides, okay. I'm going to turn off my video now, if you don't mind. My network is a bit dodgy, so that it doesn't affect the presentation. Thank you. Okay, let me just put this slide. So that's the book. It's called The Alchemist, and it's written by Paulo Coelho. I hope I got his name pronounced correctly. So my review will take the form of, will tell you a bit about the author. I think he himself is a quite interesting gentleman, the structure of the book, and I'll tell you a little bit about the book and some of the lessons. But a quick disclaimer, some people maybe reading through some of the summaries that are on the internet, or maybe some of the summaries you've read somewhere, might think that this is a religious book. So it's not a religious book, but it's a spiritual book. I mean, it has a lot of spiritual lessons. But I also dare say that some of those spiritual lessons can also, be sort of linked to religion, to our belief, in that almighty being, But let's get into it. So what do we know about the author? He was born in August 1947 in Brazil, and he uses symbolism in his depictions of often spiritually motivated journeys taken by his characters. In fact, The Alchemist is a story of himself, some of the journeys that he himself sort of went through in discovering his true self, in discovering his treasure. So it's like a metaphor, as we will see. So he was raised in Rio de Janeiro, and he rebelled against the conventions of his Roman Catholic upbringing. As a result, his parents thought he was loony at some point, and they temporarily committed him to a psychiatric hospital. He dropped out of law school in 1970 and traveled to South America, Mexico, North Africa, and Europe. And then in 1972, he returned and began writing pop and rock musical lyrics. But he then soon discovered that he had a penchant for writing. And so he later went on to start writing, and he wrote his first book in 1987, The Pilgrimage. It wasn't originally titled The Pilgrimage, it was written in his native language, but it was later translated. And in 1988, he wrote The Alchemist, a mythical account of a shepherd's boy's journey through North America in search of treasure. So what's the structure of the book itself? Unlike many books that we've all read, it's not divided into chapters. It doesn't have any chapter. It's divided into 2 parts and 5 sections. And so I'm not going to be reviewing the book per chapter, because obviously it doesn't have any chapters. So what I've tried to do is to do a summary and then share some lessons from the book. It has 171 pages. Fun fact that you'll find in the prelude to the book. So it was first published 25 years ago, and at that time, it sold only 2 copies within 6 months. The first publisher that had signed on to market the book, canceled the contract because it was just impossible to sell it. 8 months down the line, a visit to America went to that same bookshop that had sold the 2 copies and bought 1 copy. And somehow the book found its way to America, and somehow found its way into the White House, and Bill Clinton was photographed with a copy of the book. And guess what? 25 years later, as of today, the book has sold 65 million copies, one of the best sellers in the world, and it's been translated into a record 80 languages. So like they say, never give up. So, The Alchemist is a timeless masterpiece and literary gem that weaves together the threads of destiny, dreams, and the pursuit of one's personal legend. That comes from reading the first part of the book that talks about the personal legend. And the author himself said his own personal legend was, eventually discovered that he was a writer, and that he had to pass through all that he went through to be able to tell his personal story. But from the first page of this book, the novel captivates readers with its enchanting narrative and profound insights, leaving an indelible mark in the soul. Every single page describes in very vivid terms. I mean, you will actually be transported into those times. I mean, as he traveled through the desert, even the breath and all of that, the wind, he described everything in such detail that you find yourself transported. It's like living through the author's journey yourself. So it's a metaphor. A man set out on a journey, dreaming of a beautiful or magical place in pursuit of some unknown treasure. At the end of his journey, he realizes the treasure was hidden the entire time. So not to, I think some people need to meet themselves, not to tell you everything. It's just to say that at some point, at the beginning of the book, the main character had a dream, and in his dream, he saw that he found or discovered a treasure. And so he embarked on a journey, to discover that treasure. Along the line, he found all sort of people, met all sort of people, gypsy, an Englishman, a merchant that was selling crystal, and met all sort of people, who somehow contributed to weaving a beautiful tale. And eventually he realized that all of the search that it was going to, the path that he had taken, he really only had to look within himself to find that the treasure really was within him. At its core, The Alchemist is a story about Santiago, a young shepherd who embarks on a quest to discover the treasure that lies hidden in the Egyptian pyramids. Throughout his journey, the book imparts timeless wisdom through memorable quotes that resonate with readers long after they have turned the last page. So there are lots of nuggets, there are lots of quotes that I found quite fascinating, and I'll share some of them. One of the central themes in the book is the importance of pursuing one's dream. No matter how daunting the journey may seem, the author beautifully encapsulates the idea in Santiago's conversation with the crystal merchant. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. This profound insight serves as a guiding principle, urging readers to follow their hearts and trust in the soul of the world to fulfill their desires. So some people might interpret the soul of the world to mean the ultimate being, but everything sort of works together to help you achieve your dreams. If you have a dream and you're pursuing it, you just find that everything seems to fall into place. Some people call it, divine destiny, whatever it is that you believe. But the whole idea and the idea the author was trying to push through is that when you're embarking on a journey, to achieve your dream or your objective in life or your goal that you set for yourself, everything seemingly conspires to ensure that you achieve that objective. As Santiago encounters various characters and faces challenges, the book delves into the transformative power of the journey itself. The author reminds us through the words of the alchemist. It's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life interesting. So there are times that you have a dream, and in pursuing that dream, all sort of things just seemingly come into play, obstacles and all of that. But because you know deep down that that dream will come to reality, it makes the entire journey interesting. Each twist and turn in Santiago's Odyssey becomes a stepping stone towards self-discovery, encouraging readers to embrace the unpredictability of life's adventures. So sometimes the path might be uneven, but ultimately you will get there. That's one of the messages in the book. So The Alchemist also explores the interconnectedness of all things, echoing the concept of the personal legend, one's unique purpose in life. So the author postulates that everyone, has a unique purpose. And you often hear that people need to discover their purpose. Why was I created? It's not just to live and wake up every morning, go to work, and not impact anyone. So there is an ultimate purpose for everyone's life. The Englishman, a fellow traveler Santiago encounters, imparts this wisdom. When you want something with all your heart, that's when you are closest to the soul of the world. It introduces another concept, the soul of the world. The author encourages readers to listen to their hearts and recognize the omens that guide them toward their destinies. So in addition to its philosophical depth, like I said, it's not a religious book, but it's a book about philosophy, about spirituality. The Alchemist is replete with vivid imagery that transports readers to the deserts of Andalusia and the bustling markets of Tangier. I mean, you will actually imagine yourself going through the desert. I mean, I don't know if anyone has actually traveled through the desert. So the dryness, the sand dunes, and all of those. You actually imagine yourself in there. It describes the tents and all of the um, ornaments in such vivid prose that you will actually imagine yourself to be there. The prose is poetic, making the journey as enchanting as the destination. So The Alchemist is not just a book, it's a transformative experience that resonates with readers on a profound level. Its timeless wisdom, encapsulated with quotes that linger in the mind, serves as a beacon for those navigating the intricate paths of life. The book continues to inspire and guide, inviting readers to embark on their own personal quests and discover the treasures hidden within the recesses of their hearts. So what are the lessons? What are some of the lessons? There are 10 lessons, they're intertwined, but there are 10 major lessons that I found, reading the book. And I encourage you to read the book, and then maybe you'll find a few more yourself. So follow your dreams. That's the central theme of the book. The importance of pursuing one's dreams. Santiago's journey teaches us that our dreams are worth pursuing, and the pursuit of in itself is as significant as realization of the dream. So, like I said, he dreamt that he found a bunch of treasures. I mean, he woke up not quite understanding the dream and not knowing where the treasure would be, but the journey that he embarks upon to discover the treasure, it was very beautiful one. He found love along the way, made friends, went through a war that was almost killed, but he found some inner strength to just go on, and he found encouragers along the way. Another lesson that I also learned reading the book is listen to your heart. The book emphasizes the significance of listening to one's heart, trusting intuition, that sixth sense, as they call it, and recognizing the signs that guide us along our journey. The heart serves as a compass, pointing us toward our true desires and the fulfillment of our personal legend. So sometimes, the objective, the goal that you have set for yourself seems so daunting. You want to achieve X, Y, and Z, and there are lots of obstacles on your way. But something tells you deep down, like I said, that sixth sense, or as some people would say, your destiny just keeps reminding you that no, you're destined for this, and this is what is going to happen to you. So you just have to listen to your heart and allow your heart to encourage you. Overcome fear and doubt. Santiago faces numerous challenges and encounters fear and doubt along his journey. The author postulates that these obstacles are natural, but it's essential to overcome them with courage and resilience in order to reach our goals. I mean, when COVID happened, a lot of us were scared. I mean, speaking for myself personally, and one was almost overwhelmed, with fear that was this going to be the end of it all. But I guess coming out of COVID, for many of us, has taught us resilience, and that's what challenges will do. They will come, and then by the time you pass through that challenge, you're strengthened for the rest of your journey, and you can also encourage other people. The fourth lesson is to discover the language of the world. The novel introduces the idea of the language of the world, the universal language that transcends words and allows individuals to communicate with elements of nature. It encourages us to be attuned to the world around us and to recognize the interconnectedness. I mean, I found it a bit amusing that there were some parts of the book where Santiago could listen to other people speak in their languages, and he got himself immersed in it, and he could understand what they were saying, even though he was not from that part of the world. But eventually, and then he could also understand the messages of the elements. So when the wind was blowing in a particular way, if he listened carefully enough, he could interpret, he would know that maybe it was about to rain. When he saw a particular animal come out of the desert, he would know that, maybe there's human life around the corner, or maybe there was some, enemy tribe, around the corner. So if you listen carefully, you will understand what he termed the language of the world. Fifth lesson is the power of the personal legend. Everyone has a purpose in life, and that he termed the personal legend. The book encourages us to identify and pursue a personal legend with passion and dedication, as it brings fulfillment and meaning to our lives. So like I said, the author himself eventually discovered that his personal legend, his purpose in life, was to write books. But he had to go through all of that journey to now then have the experiences that would allow him write such interesting and living books that people could actually identify with, because he went through the journey by himself, and so it was easy for him to speak about the journey in a manner that would be interesting to people to read. Embrace the present moment. Santiago learns to live in the present and appreciate the journey itself. The concept of maktub, it is written, teaches us to accept the present moment and trust that everything happens for a reason, contributing to the unfolding of destiny. When people talk about having depression and all of that, a lot of the time, one of the things that the therapists will tell them is, you're worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow. You're worrying about what has happened in the past, what happened yesterday, what brought me here, the trauma that brought you to that state of depression. But if you only live in the moment, so some encourage that you keep a book of gratitude and just enjoy the moment. Count your blessings and imagine that, all of this has happened to you, and whatever it is that happened in the past is in the past. The future hasn't come. Yes, you can plan for the future, but even take a minute to enjoy smell the roses, as they say, so that you don't lose even the benefit of the beautiful memories that you can create by just being in the present. The seventh lesson is to understand the soul of the world. The author introduces the idea that everything in the universe is interconnected, and there is a soul of the world that unites all living things. This concept encourages us to see the beauty and the harmony in the world around us. Eighth lesson, learn from nature. Santiago learns valuable lessons from the desert, the wind, and the other natural elements. This teaches us to observe and learn from nature, recognizing the wisdom it holds and how it guides us on our own journeys. So, for instance, he learned that if the wind was blowing in a particular way, like I said, it meant that perhaps there was going to be not necessarily rain, or maybe a windstorm. And then if he saw a particular bird, that typically doesn't fly in the desert, he knew that perhaps, there were some strangers, there were some enemies in the neighborhood, and that bird was a harbinger of sorts. You should just learn from nature and take the lessons, to guide you. The ninth lesson, face challenges and opportunities. Challenges are inevitable, but in some challenges, opportunities for growth also lie. The Chinese, when they write sweat, the same alphabets or the same letters are used to also spell opportunity. So in every challenge, there's an opportunity. Santiago's journey is fraught with difficulties, but each challenge helps him to evolve and move closer to his goals. I mean, one of the stories that I found fascinating in the book was when he found himself in Africa, and he went to the top of the mountain where there was a crystal merchant who was selling crystals. And the gentleman had been on that mountain for years. People would come and they would look at the crystals. Some people didn't even have the energy to climb the mountain. So he wasn't doing very well. I mean, he was opening the shop every day. Maybe he would sell one or two crystals and all of that. But when Santiago got there, he was on his journey to the pyramids, but he decides to stay there to earn some income. So he would have seen it as a challenge that, I mean, this is an interruption of my journey. But he spent almost a whole year with the merchant, and he learned a lot of lessons. And he helped the merchant also to improve the quality of his business such that he eventually thrived. So every challenge that we face in life, at the end of it, or even in the midst of it, is an opportunity. I mean, and to relate it to the current situation in Nigeria, we're all looking at all the challenges, inflation, and all of that. But in the midst of that, I'm sure we're aware that some people are thriving. They've taken advantage of some situation that we all are in, and they realize that there's an opportunity here. There's food scarcity, but people have to eat. So can I find some opportunity in what seems to be a major challenge? The final lesson that I found, like I said, if you read the book, you'll probably find a few others. Trust in the journey. The book underscores the importance of trusting the journey, even when the path seems uncertain or challenging. Trusting the process and having faith in the journey's outcome is crucial for personal growth and fulfillment. In conclusion, The Alchemist continues to inspire readers around the world. with its timeless wisdom, encouraging us to embark on our own journeys and discover the treasures that are with us along the way, particularly those that lie within us. So he was looking for treasure, but at the end of the journey, he realized that the treasure was within him all the while. He had certain innate qualities that he didn't realize that he possessed. He needed to go through that journey to be able to discover, all of that. And then he realized that that really was his treasure. Yes, he did find, and he had to go back home.
Wait, not like that. We do it. This lion is.
Therein lied metaphor. Thank you. That was my short summary of the 177 pages. So I would say it's a teaser, and I hope that you get a copy of the book, read it, and be able to share your own lessons from it. Thank you, Dr. Sumi. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ma. Before we proceed, I think the senior pastor, Trinity House, is here now. So he needs no introduction as always. And as we know, his name is Pastor Itwa Olajide Ighodalo. I made a brief introduction of what the TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club is all about, especially for those of us that are logging in for the very first time. And I mentioned to us that the TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club is an initiative of Trinity House, and the TRI-METROPOLITAN Club actually started about 2.5 years ago. So, and Trinity House, as I mentioned earlier, is a non-denominational free-flow worship center powered with a vision to changing lives, fulfilling destinies, and transforming nations. I mentioned earlier also, for those joining for the first time, that our senior pastor is the ever so bubbly, inspirational, charismatic, and very God-fearing gentleman, Itwa Olajide Ighodalo. He needs no further introduction, and I'd just like to crave his indulgence to unmute and say a few words before we move ahead. Pastor Itwa, I think you're there. The floor is yours now, Pastor Itwa. Can you unmute?
Well, Dr. Tomi, thank you very much for bringing my person to come and be here. BC is my real person. And thank you, BC, for that very, very inspiring exposure on this book and letting us know that finally all our treasures actually rest within us. You can go all over the world to look for it, but finally, by God's grace and mercy, we'll find it within us. I'm sure it's been very exciting for everybody and very illuminating for everybody who's been on the platform. I wish everyone very well. I wish everyone the rest of the best of Saturday, in spite of everything going on in Nigeria at this time. I pray that God will continue to strengthen all of us. The more we read, the wiser we become, the more knowledge we have, and the better people we are. And initially, when they wrote that book, Alchemist, it was as though it wasn't going to succeed. But over the years, because of the intensity thereof, it has done very well. My prayer is that for every one of us who they think we will not succeed, over the years, we will do exceedingly well. Thank you all very much. God bless you. And we look forward to next month. Tommy, please choose another exciting book for us for next month, so that we can all gather here again and review. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
God bless you too. Thank you very much, Pastor Itwa. Thank you very much. So I can already see hands raised, but before we start taking comments, questions, and contributions from everybody on the platform, I just wanted to give my own synopsis, just a little bit, of what I read. Of course, on the platform, I've been sending a few things there, but listening to Ms. Adeyemi this evening, of course, it opened my mind to a lot of other things that before now I didn't see that way, so to speak. So one of the things is, it's to never give up, really. And like Pastor Itwa also mentioned, I mean, initially he sold just 2 copies. you know. But, you know, like Ms. Adeyemi said, we should just keep thriving in whatever we do. And an example of the universe conspiring to help you. I mentioned it on the platform. Ms. Adeyemi mentioned it again. And it's one thing that I actually held on to while I was reading the book, that when you put your mind to something, even if you feel that it's not thriving initially, if that is what you're passionate about and you're working towards your personal legend, somehow the universe will conspire to help you. Why do I say this? Just my own personal contribution or experience, even recently, being an author myself now. I wrote a book last year, which I launched in October. And initially, I was thinking, how am I going to get this book out there? How am I going to launch this book? What am I going to, all the things that I wanted to put in the book, how am I going to pass it on to the people that I want to, you know, actually enjoy or get insight from the book? But somehow, you know, with a lot of hard work, dedication, prayers, and just like the book has said, sometimes when you just commit to doing something, the universe actually conspires to help you. Somehow the publisher came and everything was done, you know, everything was just going fast. It bit my imagination, as they say. And I was out thinking, what venue am I going to use? Somehow the venue came, you know. Again, I was thinking, how am I going to sell copies? Am I going to put it on Amazon? Or is it online copies? Are they physical copies? What am I going to do? But, you know, the thought came to me. I said, okay, let me pre-sell. So I pre-sold some copies even before the launch. And guess what? I actually printed a lot of copies. And after the launch, I had to do a reprint, meaning I sold all the copies that I initially printed. And again, there will be challenges along the way, just like we said, or just like Ms. Adeyemi has already mentioned in one of the lessons she said in lesson 9, that you face challenges, but look at those challenges as opportunities. Again, I faced another challenge. The publisher just went, you know, away, AWOL, as we always say. And I was thinking to myself, publisher, I need to do this, I need to do this. But for me, I didn't really want to wait for another. He said we had to wait another 2-3 months to reprint. No way. But guess what? The universe conspired to help me. And a great publisher walked into my life. And guess what? Better copies were printed and better copies were sold. And so that actually even made it more interesting for me. And, you know, God just directs things and just make things happen. And people, you know, would always ensure that you get things done. Meaning God, people, the universe actually conspired to help me in selling or reprinting those copies. So I followed the book, you know, also, just like Ms. Adeyemi was saying, and I was imagining myself in the desert, just like Santiago, and everything that he was trying to achieve. The alchemist, meeting the alchemist himself, everything about the book. You know, it's an imaginative book, it's intriguing, and it's a book that I think that everybody should read. I made a comment on the platform, on the TRI-METROPOLITAN platform, that if you really like The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, then you will love reading The Alchemist. And somebody in the TRI-METROPOLITAN platform was actually the person who suggested the book, The Alchemist. Her name is Ms. Damilola Akinloye. And she had been telling me since last year, this book is a book that we must review on the platform. And I thought to myself, okay. Then I began to read some of the reviews, and truly, it is a life-transforming book. Personally, I've been reading this book in the last 1 month, and I can see the remarkable, you know, impact that it has made in my life. And that's the truth, which I won't share now so that I won't take too much of your time, because I'm not about to, again, review the book, but just to let you know that The Alchemist is a very interesting book. And it's a life-transforming book. And I think we should all get a copy. So on this note,
and just to say, Dr. Tony, it took a month to read it, but it took me about a week to read it. You know, I mean, at the time that you had said you were going to review the book, I kept putting it off, that, okay, you know, I'll do it. But when I sat down to read it, I couldn't put it down. You know, it's that kind of book. You just couldn't put it down.
Absolutely, ma. You are very correct. It's in two parts. The first part, to be sincere, I read it in a few days. It was the second part that took me a while, not because it wasn't interesting, but because I was a little bit busy. But I completed it. But that first part, in 2 days or something, I think I read it. It's a very, I mean, as you read it, you don't want to drop the book. So you're very correct. You're very spot on, ma. Thank you so much, ma. So now the floor is open, and I like to, okay, I can see a few hands raised, and Mr. Ken Okochu, please, you can unmute.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Tommy. Thank you also, Ms. BC, for your exhaustive and thorough review. Thank you so very much. Indeed, I must confess, this book is truly captivating. With this book, I've been able to challenge the erroneous notion and beliefs held by some youths that I mentor, you know, that one's purpose in life is predetermined or should be dictated by others. And then also they see setbacks. They say setbacks should be seen as failures, you know. But with this book, I was able to make them understand that challenges are opportunities for growth, you know, and learning, and that they play a crucial role in our journey towards realizing our dreams, you know. So I thank God for this book. You know, with this book, I was able to truly, you know, make them understand that they can believe in themselves, and that they can dream and then set goals and realize and actualize their dreams, you know. So I really thank you, Dr. Tommy, for introducing this book. So I've been able to impact the lives of these youths that I mentor, and I'm most grateful for that. My other question is to Ms. BC. Now, if you were able to, if you were to recommend The Alchemist to someone who hasn't read it, what would you say to convince them to give it a chance? I'll be glad if you can answer that question. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I think it's from the first thing that you said, because I was just going to wait for you to finish. I didn't know you had a question as well. Because I was going to say that one of the things I found the most fascinating in the book was that each time he had a problem, you know, he didn't wallow in that problem. You know, there was a time that he lost all of his money, as in all of his money, you know, and he was totally, completely penniless. And this was somebody who was on a journey in the desert, you know, but he just picked himself back up and, you know, he continued on his journey, and he made, you know, multiples of the money that he had lost. So one of the things I'll say to anyone is that if you want to encourage yourself, if you want to give yourself hope, you know, and to find out how you can continue to just encourage yourself and take challenges as opportunities, then this is a book that would encourage you. It's a book that you should read in that regard. That's one of the things I'll say.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm just trying to check if we have any other hands raised, any other comments, any other, for some reason, okay, so yeah, the chat room. Okay. Okay, yes. I'm just going through what some have written. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I think that's about it. There are no other hands raised, and there are no questions in the chat room. Okay, there's another hand raised. Mrs. Aluko, you can unmute, ma'am.
It's just a very quick comment. What I find really fascinating is the fact that it was originally written in Portuguese, and usually things get lost in translation. But the beauty of the descriptive writing still enables us, you know, go on that journey with him like we actually experienced it ourselves.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And to think that it's been translated in 80 languages as well. So you can imagine what that would be. I mean, people can read it in their own native languages as well. And I'm sure that, those languages, in translating it to those languages, it didn't lose any of its original flavor. So that's it's indeed, yeah, and I totally agree with you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Another hand raised. You can unmute Madam Juliet Eze.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Tomi. I also wanted to just say that sometimes when things start and they don't start really big, or should I say they don't start as expected, it's possible to lose interest and then say, well, this is quite crawling, it's not moving very fast. But what really comes to mind is the monster suit. It starts very small, but by the time it matures, it grows into a giant tree. So sometimes when things don't start from the booming quote unquote phase, if not careful, a person can lose interest and then pull out. And there have been people that pulled out of things that started seemingly little, like Facebook, like Apple, especially Apple. One of the co-founders that pulled out. So sometimes it's like that. It may not look like it at the beginning. So I just wanted to chip that in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. You're you're spot on. So I was looking through my notes to see what Ms. Adeyemi actually said in the lessons that we should take from 1 to 10. And what she just said actually speaks to 9 and 10, So sometimes in pursuit of our personal legends, we'll face challenges. We'll even make mistakes, not just challenges. There'll be mistakes. There'll be things that are not going the way they should be or the way that we have planned, but we should face those challenges, like Ms. Adeyemi said, as opportunities. Ms. Adeyemi also said that one of the 10 lessons, the 10th lesson, as a matter of fact, says that we should trust in the journey. So even when things are not going well, just trust in the journey, follow your dreams, and listen to your heart, like she said, and just overcome all the fear, the anxiety, the doubt, and just generally trust in the journey that at the end that you get to that destination. So yeah, very spot on, ma'am. So thank you for that comment. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Any other hands
And
raised?
Dr. Toby, just to underscore that as well. Sorry, Dr. to interrupt. I said to underscore that as well. I mean, the author's journey himself. I mean, from 2 copies, he said he sold 2 copies in a local bookstore in his native town. And, he was going to give up. In fact, he would have given up because the first publisher, not unlike your own publisher, canceled on him, that we can't sit here, just 2 copies in 6 months, for Christ's sake. I mean, I didn't invest all of that money to come and be selling 1 copy per month or 1 copy in every 6 weeks, 6 months. But it only took for an American to come into that store, bought the book, took it to America, bought a few copies, and someday, the president was photographed with one of the books, and boom, it sold 65 million copies to date. So we shouldn't give up. He could easily have given up that, you know what, I'm not cut out for this, but he didn't. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. You're very correct. So, like you said, I always think of it in different perspectives as well. And as I was reading the book, I think when we read books, we somehow relate it to our personal journeys or our personal lives. So when I was reading the book, I was looking at different aspects of my life. I like the part where maybe when he gets somewhere, he's unsure of himself and he's thinking of going back. But somehow, they were talking about the omens, they were talking about the king and this person that he had met along the line that told him that, just continue going towards the pyramid in Egypt. Just keep going. You will meet things or people, enjoy the nature things, enjoy the people, listen to everything that is going on in your environment and enjoy the present. Just like you said, I think that was the 6th lesson that you said, embrace the moment. So when I was reading the book and I was looking at some aspects of my own life as well, I was thinking to myself that, okay, maybe you're not doing too badly, Tomi, because I've read so many books I've listened to so many people. I've read the Bible, you know, and I've listened to you and, you know, just generally. And even you as a guest today, I've had discussions, I've had a relationship with you, and there's some things you say to me, and there's some things you send to me on WhatsApp. It actually resonates with me towards or propelling me to who I should really be. So maybe it's at this note that I should even say thank you to you, because truly, unknown to you, you've actually made positive impacts in my life. And I'm not just saying it because we're on this platform, but that's the reality. You know, there are some things that you will say to me unknowingly, you know, so those are some of the things that they were telling Santiago, telling the young man that, you know, listen or watch the omens or whatever they call it. Don't listen to the things around you. Take notes. Be present. Think about what is actually happening, and just not just in the hustle and bustle of Lagos or of life. So maybe it's at this time I should say a very big thank you to you, because some of the things that you've said to me unknowingly have actually molded me also to who I am today. So thank you very much, Ma. So again, what I'm trying to say is that Mr. Adeyemi has told us that there is the power of our personal legend. And even as we move on in our journeys in life, we should embrace the present moment and then understand the soul of the world. That's what the book was trying to tell us. Understand the elixir, the soul of the world, everything that is happening, the trees, you know, the flowers. Sometimes we look at nature and we just think it's just a plant, but everything actually somehow speaks to our existence. Thank you very much for that, ma'am. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other comments? Any other feedback?
Maybe I have a comment as well. Maybe I have another comment. You know, so there's somewhere in the book as well where, you know, he had sold his sheep. You know, so he's a shepherd, you know, and he had sheep and he wanted to embark on this journey. So at some point, he had to sell his sheep. And all of his money, he gave it to someone who was supposed to, you know, I think buy him, whether it was a camel or something that he was going to use to go through the desert. And the person went away with his money. You know, that would have discouraged him, would have just felt that, you know what, that's the end of it. Or it would have also caused him to stop trusting people, you know, because I mean, in life, sometimes you have a bad experience and you think that everybody's like that, you know, people are not trustworthy. But that one person out of the millions of people in the world shouldn't change your perspective as to how to treat people or how to deal with people. That's another lesson that just came to me now.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback, Ma. And I was just looking at another, you know, yes, you have given us some 10 lessons. And even in those 10 lessons, one of the things that I noted on page 47 of the book is that we should never forsake past experiences. So there are things that would have happened in our lives, definitely. You know, when you look back, you're not looking back because of regrets. You're not looking back because you want to be where you were before. You know, maybe you were working somewhere, you were doing something at the time, but you've actually moved on from that thing. So our past experiences actually help shape our present and our future, but it's not to dwell on the past. This is another thing that I took from the book. We shouldn't dwell on what we've left behind. We should just dwell in what it is that we are in the present, and how the past can actually help us mold the future. So in short, don't dwell on past experiences, whether good or bad. So it's not just, you know, there are some good things that happen, but better things can happen now, and even the best will happen in the future. And of course, like every good experience, there will be bad experiences. Don't dwell on the past. The fact that he didn't sell enough copies didn't mean that he wasn't going to be successful in life. You know, it was just a challenge at that time, and he saw other opportunities. And guess what? He's a zillionaire now, you know, and his book is being reviewed on the TRI-METROPOLITAN platform. So yeah, so that's another thing that jumped at me while I was reading the book. So let me check the chat room. Yeah. So I think that's about it. No more hands raised. Let me wait a minute if there are other comments or any other information that we might get from the audience. So, no more comments, no more questions for Ms. Adeyemi. Okay, very good review of the book. Would like to say a very big thank you once again to Ms. Adeyemi for coming to the platform, to the very first TRI-METROPOLITAN book review for the year 2024, titled The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, or Colo, I don't know how to pronounce it. So we really appreciate you coming to honor us, even as a group. I think I'll add you to the platform immediately after this, and we'll really, really appreciate the fact that you could make our time to honor Pastor Itwa and the entire TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club. We also want to implore everybody, or to rather crave your indulgence, to please get a copy of this book. The TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club is actually a book reading journey that is very interesting. As mentioned earlier, we actually read a lot of books on a monthly basis, a book a month. We've done motivational books, leadership books, we've done lifestyle, we've done health, we've done quite a lot of categories of books, and we've had wonderful guests who have come to speak with us. Today we have Ms. Bisi Adeyemi, we've had Mr. Wale Yedeji, we've had a lot of people. We even had, for our first anniversary, Professor Wale Soyinka, and we had a lovely evening at the Cilantro restaurant where we reviewed 2 of his books. So we've had a lot of speakers that you also know, Ms. Adeyemi. So I'm just mentioning some of them that you know, Mr. Akintemi as well. We've had Mrs. Onyade Adegite, we've had Mrs. Shalewa Fajobi, and a lot of people that I can't begin to mention now. But so it's a book reading journey, TRI-METROPOLITAN Book Club, an initiative of Trinity House. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a book club that we started 2.5 years ago. And if you would like to be part of this book reading journey, there is a number on the platform right now. You can actually send WhatsApp only message, not text, WhatsApp only, to this number if you'd like to be part of the book club. Again, this is an initiative of Trinity House. Our senior pastor spoke with us earlier on. Our senior pastor, Pastor Itwa Olajide Igodalo. He's a senior pastor of Trinity House. Trinity House is located on Trinity Avenue through Water Corporation Drive, off Legally Ayanride, Victoria Island, Lagos. We have our services every Sunday, tomorrow at 9 a.m. and every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. So we don't mind if you could join us at any of these services. Every month we hold these book reviews on the 3rd Saturday of every month, just like today. So next month, March, we'll hold another review on the 3rd Saturday of the month. More details will be given to us. We'll disseminate all the information as always on the platform. It's a WhatsApp platform, and please feel free to send your number or details so that you can be part of this book reading journey. We promise you that that platform is not interactive, so don't feel like you have so many groups that you have joined and maybe you don't want to be part of this. It's an interesting WhatsApp group, but like I said, it's not interactive. It's just for us to disseminate information on the subsequent book reviews. So we'd like to thank everyone once again for being a part of this wonderful evening. And we pray that the Almighty will continue to bless you and to keep you. Thank you very much once again, and have a fantastic evening.